how do you select your team? What do you prioritize in terms of skills? I mean, clearly there are technical skills, but typically the soft skills are the things that differentiate today.
I think it's a bit of a self-selection or mutual selection process. And one that I selected, like you mutually select your tribe in that sense, right? There's some people who like to work together, right? Or they have done some interesting things together. They want to maybe do it again in a better way. So I think it's a bit of a mutual selection process. Some people who like to work with each other. And similarly for me, I want to work with certain people who are really amazing, not just in the competence level, but also on how they work, how they actually build things, how they operate. Basically, it's like you establish this relationship and friendships over time that it naturally kind of happens. We were lucky to actually have the tribe kind of that was together, and that tribe kind of decided that we're going to do something together again, right? So it wasn't one selected to the other, or I selected, or it was just like it kind of happens that way a little bit. And I think so. A lot of times, I think if you start that way, you can go fast because you already know strengths and weaknesses, style of working, the trust that sometimes take time to establish, and you're already established. And then you have to from my side, you really have to then work it in a way that it's worth it for everyone, right? Many of our leaders, including myself, have been the role models in terms of how we go from tens of people to then hundreds and maybe hopefully of thousands of people over time, right? They become the role models, the anchors over time. But as you go forward, when you bring new team members that you may not have worked with before, so you're trying to establish the same kind of selection process, mutual selection process. You expose, what you're looking for, and give them an opportunity to reject you if that's okay, because it's a mutual decision when you're recruiting someone, hiring someone from outside. I'll tell you an example of a recent addition. We were trying to bring in a leader, an amazing new leader, in terms of what he'd done into leadership before. But we also want to make sure that we also understand that when we're working or managing hundreds of people, this will be a smaller organization. Can you be more hands-on? So we literally created almost like a test to say, can you do this? And the purpose was not to test it. Purpose was to expose that this is what you're going to be doing. If you don't enjoy this, you're going to self-select yourself out. You're going to say, this is not what I do, sorry. And to my surprise, in this particular example that happened like a week and a half back, that person came back and within 24 hours, nailed that technical challenge and presented it in a live setting. It showed me two things. That the doubt that was there that somebody who can scale down come to this org, that was actually not an issue. The person has aspiration and willingness and the capability to do it, and understands this is what the person would be doing. So that way you can establish very upfront some kind of implicit relationship and trust and mutual selection that you can have. I think, now, of course, you don't always get that right. As you know, it's very difficult to bring in a person from outside and just through the interview process, do it right. And of course, we make mistakes. We've made mistakes over time.
Yeah. Oh, I love this idea of mutual selection, which of course is what it should be, but is not a term that I've heard used before. But of course, and you want to be as explicit as possible about, here's who we are, and here's, in your case, how we do things is as important as what we get done. And just sounds like maybe the most effective way to put together a high performance team is what you have described.
Yeah.
So the other thing that you said that I thought was really interesting is you're growing really fast. You're focused on both at this point in your journey, being able to be innovative in your space as well as taking care of your customers in a way that the new innovations are not causing harm. Are there other leadership lessons or best practices beyond that, or the building of the team itself that you could share with the audience in terms of sort of how you move things forward while experiencing this type of growth?
At the end, it boils down to culture. It boils down to the culture. If you are successful in establishing the unsaid habits of the organization, which are small things, just like human habits, organizations have their own habits, that how the organizations behave and the leaders by default behave in the
Yeah.
organization, I think that's really the way to kind of scale. Because, and of course, as you bring in new team members, you want to see if it's the average, you're not shifting basically your the culture in a negative way. You would want to welcome in a positive way and change and all, because new people should bring in new good habits, organizational habits into the organization. So change is good, but as long as it's constructed in the right way. And what are some of the biggest things is, of course, for any innovative company, you have to have bias for action. You have to have a sense of direction, intuitively, where we're going, why we're going, and this is the right thing, and ability to tune it, and ability for team to understand that this is for good reasons. You're going to tune it over time. And also, the leaders in a good organization, leaders are role models. They're not just talkers.